Hey everyone, Dylan here, and welcome back to the channel. Technically, this is like the second video back on the channel, but you know what? Regardless, welcome back to the channel. Maybe this is your first time visiting. Hi, if it is, if you like wrestling content, got plenty of that coming your way, and a little bit of that already on here if you want to check it out. Also, one more thing, then we'll get into the review. If you want to know, what's coming up on the channel and whatnot, and a rough schedule I'm going to try to stick by, just wait till the end of the video and I'll explain that real quick. Hopefully I'll have little timestamps up by that point. But anyway, right now we're going to focus on Survivor Series 2023, which is a very nostalgic pay-per-view for me, despite it being only a little shy of a year, or maybe a little over a year old. As I will say, throughout the history of getting these quote-unquote classic reviews, this is one of the many videos that I either was gonna, in this case, soft relaunch the channel on, or I was going to actually start up a channel on. So for me alone, that little nostalgic memory and finally getting to review this, because the only thing stopping me from reviewing this last year was laziness, is it's kind of cathartic to do this. Alright, enough about me. Let's get into the actual event. After we get a little video hype package, which again, I know I'm meat riding this pay-per-view a lot within the first 2 minutes of it, but they put so many of their eggs into this one basket, so to speak, and I think it paid off highly. This video hype package is honestly one of the best I've seen in a while. I think it's solely because they decided to pick War Pigs to be the background song for this. But definitely go out of your way just to watch that. After we get that, we get the classic narrator guy, if I can continue my bit. He does the WWE presents Survivor Series sponsored by this company, and then it goes to the arena. So I was kind of miffed about that whole pyro thing, but Michael Cole and Corey Graves, along with their ruffle bags, which by the way Michael Cole had the better pick. I think he had this sour cream and cheddar one, or whatever that one is. Better option. Anyway, Corey Graves ended up saying, "Let the games begin," and that's why we didn't get our opening pyro, because dear Lord, in the best way possible, they hype the fuck out of War Games. You get the cage dropping, you get the return of the freaking siren. It kills me as it happens. Get goosebumps still hearing it. Get freaking flames shooting up, thinking Kane's gonna come out and host this War Games. And not to mention one of Dylan's favorite nostalgic things about War Games, you get the double rings. But yeah, just to get back into it, as this kind of voice right now can kind of tell you, I got super fucking hyped up. They show the new rules. I put down new rules because I don't remember the OG set of rules. But the current set of rules were on the screen, and considering I don't feel like editing this, I'm just going to read them verbatim. Rules are, quote, 2 teams will be contained in separate cages, with 1 member of each team starting the match. After 5 minutes, a member from the advantage team, I don't know how that happens, I think they got the advantage on the previous episode of Raw or SmackDown respectively. After 5 minutes, a member from the advantage team will be released to enter the match. After 3-minute period, the alternating members from each team will enter. So if Team A had the advantage, then Team B will come out, then we'll go back to Team A. And they'll keep that up until all competitors are inside the cage. Once all competitors have entered, War Games officially begins. And the announcer announced it too. It's cool. The only way to win the match is by pinfall or submission. Michael Cole also adds they didn't have a little graphic for this, but if you escape the cage, your team forfeits War Games. We start off with Team Bianca, that is Bianca Belair, I should say, Shotzi, Charlotte Flair, and Becky Lynch, who's going to start it off for her team, against Damage Control, which was the OG Damage Control, consisting of Bayley, Kari, Asuka, and WWE Women's Champion Io Sky. Bayley starts it off for her team. Commentary mentions how Becky and Bayley met in a steel cage match on Raw a couple of months prior to this event, and I'm having another weird nostalgic flashback moment because I could have sworn I casually mentioned this one time during like a Raw review. I'm not going to fact check myself on this, but I casually mentioned this, and I was like, I don't know if my old man Brayton's making this up or if this was actually a thing. So good on me for actually remembering. The CTEs haven't kicked in that hard yet. Just off the back, Becky is a house of fire, and Bayley is like a slow, methodic. Methodic heel. That works. Good psychology. I'm a professional wrestler. I can judge other wrestlers that have way more credentials than me. Sarcasm. I'm not even a professional wrestler. In my opinion, maybe it's just I didn't like how they laid out the match, but it seemed like a lot of the women tonight just didn't have chemistry with each other. And I mean, that's okay, because again, they still had spoiler alert, they still had a great fucking match, but it felt sloppy at points, which for me personally, it's okay that things don't feel exactly like quote unquote scripted. It's okay if things feel like they were just like somebody tried something and oh, they missed. Oh well, let's try it again. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna end up hitting like bullet points and highlights of the event. Feel free to like actually watch it, because again, hour and a half long. I don't think you want this review to be 3 hours long. I don't want to listen to myself for 3 hours. So here's just some pinpoints of this match. Bayley ends up throwing Becky Lynch against the cage. Started off kind of a hot spot. I guess it was too hard because you can audibly hear her say sorry. Then after a sequence of events, my favorite words to use, I'm going to put that on a t-shirt one day. Bayley suplexes her onto the middle area that commentary calls like diamond steel plated. And it gives the heels the advantage for a second. But it's not that long of a second, because Becky then throws her against the cage and drop kicks her multiple times. And then she puts her in the disarmer just to like apply some damage to her arm. It was against the cage, so Dakota Kai then pokes her with a kendo stick kind of hard through the side to break the hold. They end up leaving the stick in the cage hole, and I'm sure that's not going to play in later. Becky gets drop toe hold onto the cage, like the graded part of the cage. I don't know what to call it, like the chain link. There we go. As the timer goes down, Bayley is just caning the shit out of her. And the next one to come in is Shotzi for the team face. And my cats are playing as I'm trying to record. That's always fun. As Shotzi's coming down to the ring, Bayley tries to keep the door shut, but Shotzi ends up using it to hit Bayley's head in so she can get in the ring. Shotzi pulls out a bunch of chairs and a trash can. She throws the trash can over the top rope and throws the chairs in. Crowd starts chanting, "We want tables," but she doesn't go for a table, which the bloodthirsty crowd ends up booing that decision. When she comes into the ring, Bayley tries to hit her with a chair, but Shotzi ends up kicking it in her face. Bayley goes for kendo stick moves. I guess it was just like she was trying to grab it, but Becky ends up stepping on the kendo stick, and then Bayley does like the heel thing where they're like, hey, now wait a second, hold on now. And she goes to the middle of the two rings where Shotzi's waiting in the other ring for her, so she's kind of like cornered. Bayley tries to escape, but the good gals try to pull her down back into one of the rings. It works, and the goodies give her a double clothesline until Io Sky comes in to even the odds. She introduces a chain that she pulls out from under the ring. She uses it to throw Shotzi to the other ring. She like chokes her with it and tosses her with it. And she tries the same for Becky, but Becky reverses it. After a sequence of events, trademark patent pending, Io ends up jumping off of the ropes. She goes from like ring left, so she springboards, and then casually steps over to ring right's ropes, and then does a missile drop kick off of it. And then after she does that, she kick. I know it's called kip up, but I can't say that, so I'm going to say she kicks up. She hits them both with double knees in the corner, like they're sitting in the turnbuckles, and she runs from one to the other. One of them she is super light on, like she spreads her knees and hits the shoulder. The other one, she just runs right into her face with the knees. Io goes up top I think it was just a top rope with a trash can. Call back for a move she's done in past War Games. Ooh. Becky counters it though, even though she's the babyface, and gets booed. After a sequence of events that semi looks botched, but again, botches in matches like this are okay in my mind. Becky gets put up on the top rope. It looks like Becky is busted open too, but I think it's just like somebody's hair got in her face. She had to like move it a certain way or whatever. Damage Control tries to double team Shotzi. Like they put her up top. I think they like either hit their cue early or something, because they stall for like 10 whole seconds until Bianca comes in and, shit you not, whoops the shit out of them with 2 braids. Holy shit. I would have hated this so much. I would have taken one hit and I'd be like, nope, I'm out. Don't hit me anymore. Like, I don't care how brave you have to be or whatever, but like I'm not taking more than one of these. It was audible. Like, you could hear like the Anyway, me cringing aside, there's a trash can in the corner of the ropes that I was talking about. Io set it up earlier, by the way, and unfortunately, golden rule of wrestling that a lot of wrestlers forget, but I kind of like that, like, it's not audibly mentioned. But golden rule of wrestling is, if you set up an item, you will either go through the item or be hit by the said item. It never fails. We'll see it multiple times throughout tonight. And spoiler alert, it doesn't fail now, because she gets sent face first into the trash can in the corner. Bayley tries to hit somebody with a chair. I think it was maybe Becky. She tries to hit Bianca with the chair, but B reverses it by using her hair to like knock it down. Proven, in my mind, that she loads her hair. It's a loaded hair whip. No, how come nobody has ever like done that for the heels? You know what I mean? How come nobody's ever been like, hey, ref needs to check that hair, it's loaded, or, you know, something like that, just to get some heat on her. Anyways, after that happens, she shoulder blocks Io, who wasn't ready for it. You could audibly hear her just go like, ugh! And then gives her 9 out of the 10 punches in the corner. On the 10th one, Bayley pulls her hair one way, and then Io slips out from under her and pulls her braid the other way. After another sloppy communication, Io gets splashed off camera? Sorry. Io gets splashed off camera by Shotzi, and Becky splashes Bayley. Kari then enters the match, and when she's walking down to the ring, she does this like weird little like stance, just something silly to get down to the ring, and I appreciate it because I wasn't ready for it. When she gets ringside, she comes out with a trash can lid. Now, guy like me, I was expecting it to be the little pirate wheel, because, you know, I missed that little pirate wheel gimmick. She does a lot of silly spots with it, including to pretend like it's a pirate wheel. She pretends like it's that. Again, another reason why it needed to be the wheel, but whatever. She hits everybody except for Bianca. She just fights her, honestly, and she ends up putting her into the cage. Damage Control takes advantage for a bit. The heels are ahead. They pile Shotzi under some chairs, and Kari ends up getting launched up in the sky by Io to do, it looks like an insane elbow drop, but it could have just been a regular elbow drop to protect the finish. Bianca takes Kari from one ring and launches her into the other ring. She press slams her over into the other ring. Eventually the timer goes off and it's Charlotte's turn to come out. She changes the flow of the match for the babyfaces. After a bunch of sequences, everybody gets back on track after being off track, and then Charlotte launches Io into the cage and launches her like an inch too far away from the side of the cage, because instead of it being normal where they bounce off the cage and go down, it's like she bounces off the cage and cheese grates down the side, which you'll see later on tonight. Well, I guess I'll communicate it. Later on tonight, that exact spot happens, and the exact same thing happens there too. So maybe that's safer to just take all that on your back instead of just falling straight onto your ass, onto the hardest part of the ring, messing up your back. I don't know. I'm not a wrestler. I don't know the psychology. After some more fighting and back and forth, Becky and Charlotte have a little stare down for a second. until Io and Kari shove them both into each other. After they brawl for a little bit, Charlotte carries Io to the top turnbuckle, and Io counters it. I think like shoves her off somehow. She goes to the top of the cage where the payoff for the chain is Dakota Kai attaching another trash can to the bottom of it. I guess that's better than her trying to throw a trash can, or like her trying to climb to the top with a trash can. So, you know what? Alright, it works. Io then drops the chain and takes the trash can. She bounces on the top with it on her. And then we get the callback of the century. She jumps off the top with the trash can over her and takes out everybody. I appreciate this spot so much. Dylan one day put that in the entrance package. After that, Asuka comes in and introduces kendo sticks, which the kendo sticks are taped up and they got like black on them and then blue around the handles. It looked cool. But it gets booed. And then she goes back under the ring and introduces a table for the loudest pop. I thought they were going to tease the table because the way she pulls it out is like, And then she actually pulls it out. I'm like, huh? You're a heel. You're supposed to shove it back under and then somebody else pulls it out. Come on now. But yeah, I kid you not. That is the loudest pop of the night. She also pulls out a fire hydrant at the same time. Unfortunately, spoiler alert, rule number 1, if you introduce something, it's going to be used on you. After that, the announcer officially announces that War Games has officially began. Officially. How many times can I say officially? And they start just caning Team EST with those, I keep on calling them Singapore canes. I think they're just called kendo sticks, but you know what I'm saying. My bad. The chain was dropped back into the ring because they end up locking Becky and Bianca together, like sitting down position. And all 4 of them do corner drop kicks. Like they all run from each one of the corners to drop kick them, which was a sick moment. Asuka goes to drop kick Becky from the top, and Shotzi tries to stop her in the other ring, but Asuka ends up missing her off the top. Then she drop kicks the trash can onto Becky for only a 2. After a sequence of events, Charlotte gets put onto the top with Bayley and Io. Like they're trying to like double suplex her off the top. But they get powerbombed off the top by Team Bianca. I didn't write down who, sorry. I figured this was setting up for like a 5-woman powerbomb somehow. But instead of that, Charlotte decides to hit her moonsault off the top onto everybody. Sick looking moment. I appreciate that. Becky and Charlotte end up doing a stereo suplex powerbomb moment together. Like they both do a suplex and then they both powerbomb somebody. And then they hug it out in the middle of the ring and hype each other up by shoving each other. As they're doing that, Io and Kari end up taking advantage with like roll-ups. But they get countered into the figure 4 turned 8 and an arm bar. The figure 8 gets broken up by Bayley with a splash. And then the armbar almost gets broken up by Kari. Sorry, I guess Asuka was the other one to roll it up. The armbar almost got broken up by Kari with an elbow drop or something like that. But Becky ends up putting up her knees to block it and puts her in the disarmer that gets interrupted by Bayley's running knee. It was almost a shining wizard and I almost popped so loud. Bianca and Shotzi give Asuka a doomsday device, but like it has a drop kick instead of the clothesline. They set up Kari to take a move, but Bayley ends up shoving her out of the way and she takes it. So that way her teammate doesn't get like the pin. It's her fault then. Asuka tries to miss Shotzi to save her, but she ends up getting fire extinguished instead, which popped me. Oh, I called a spot early. I guess she did that a second beforehand. And then she shoves Kairi Sane out of the way and takes everybody's finisher. And then she gets put through a table, and I guess that breaks the own rule because she didn't set up that table. But it's okay. It's not a guaranteed rule. It's just a temporary placeholder rule that almost always remains true. But anyway, she ends up getting pinned by Becky for Team Bianca to win. I think this was the beginning of the like, hey, everybody in Damage Control hates you, Bayley. You're no longer the leader. We're all talking shit behind your back storyline. If this was still 2023, I think I'd give this like easily Match of the Year qualifier. And if one day I go back and look through like the matches of every year, this is definitely, hopefully definitely still going to be on my list by the time I do that. Like, this was amazing. Even if I said, like, at moments it's sloppy or whatever, sloppy makes it feel more realistic, so it's not an insult. It's just sometimes people don't have chemistry. After that, we get a replay of the whole, like, match. And then we get a Ruffles sponsor moment, which I end up skipping over. I hate these stupid sponsored moments. Did the same for Manscaped at SummerSlam. I hate these. I hate these. I'm old. Sammy and Jay are talking backstage, and Sammy ends up telling him after he asks that Randy Orton isn't here yet. Jay at first starts to get mad, but then he starts to like blame himself why Orton isn't here because the bloodline taking him out. You know, that storyline playing through. Sammy brings up how it's okay. They did War Games together last year. They got chemistry, and with or without Orton, he's got his back. Jay feels like reassured enough, and then that transitions into Miz versus Gunter. The note that I wrote down was, is this the massive balls feud? It was a stellar just wrestling match. I mean, I could call out all these spots, but considering before editing this, War Games number 1 is taking up 26 minutes. I'm just going to give you the highlights. That says, Miz and his massive balls allegedly lost by taking a top rope splash that turned into a Boston Crab that pulled away from the ropes, and that ended up turning into I guess a lion tamer technically, for him to end up tapping out, and for the at the time breaking record IC champion, now world heavyweight champion Gunter, to pick up the W. After an ad, we go backstage, Judgment Day's little treehouse, which, oh my gosh, I never thought I'd actually miss this, but I'm kind of feeling nostalgic for that. Alright, anyways, they're all talking backstage, minus Dom, the guys are, and then Dom comes into shot and says, like, what's up, boys? And he tells them about Randy not being there. And then Finn talks up how even if he shows up, Randy will be the poison for his own team, so it's a win-win for them anyway. After that, we get Dragon Lee versus Santos Escabar, who just turned on the LWO. I'm going to be honest with you, this was, with all due respect, my skip match of the night, just because I personally wasn't invested into it. So I ended up going to the ending. There we go. I can speak. Where Santos Escobar ends up winning with a Phantom Driver. After some Slim Jim sponsorship, we have a match that apparently was sponsored by them between Zoe Starks and Rhea Ripley. Great match. The women busted their ass. This was an amazing showcase for Starks. But thing you forgot about, this was peak Rhea Ripley. So you know your ass is getting pump handled and folded for Rhea to win and remain champion. It was a cool way that she did it, to be honest, because she countered a Z360. She did like a, what's it called? Where you backflip, there we go, brain's dead right now, into a headbutt, and then did the pump handle and stacked her. I wish Zoe Stark still had no momentum, so that part sucks, but this definitely would have been her breakout match. We get a replay, and then after that we get a hype video for the men's war game. And God, these hype videos are so good. It made me hyped and overwhelmed with emotion. I don't know if it's nostalgia because either the week before this or the week after this, they had a live event that I ended up going to with one of my good old best friends. And it just made me, it hit me right here, remembering this time period. We get into the men's War Games match. I'm sorry to all the matches in between, but like these war game matches are going to take up way too much time, so I have to like skim over the other matches in the review. My apologies. They go over the rules again just to make sure everybody knows it. Then Team Judgment Day featuring Drew comes out to where Finn will start it for their team. Then Team Cody, that's consistent of pre-champion Cody, so you know you're dealing with the guy who I won't say can't be touched, but a guy who's the second to top guy who can't be touched. We get Jay with the sickest yeet ever. I remember looking through my YouTube and they recommended like Jay doing the yeet on top of the cage, and I said, holy fuck. And that was so sick. If I ever add a moment to the intro, I'll definitely consider that moment over the moment in where's that? Backlash France. There we go. All right, anyway, everybody's in the ring, or excuse me, everybody's in the cage for Team Cody, which I don't know if I finished that thought. Sorry, Team Cody is Cody, Jay, Sammy, theoretically Randy Orton, and Seth Rollins, who starts it off for Team Cody. Seth and Cody end up shaking hands at the beginning because all the teammates go up to each other. It's like, hey, what's up, dude? What's up, man? How's it going? You know, all that crap. And then Cody and him have a stare down and then shake hands ultimately. I think this was the starting seed for Seth and Cody's friendship, which ultimately led to Cody winning the WWE Championship thanks to Seth's help. And I'm telling you, when Seth needs a heel turn, he's going to turn on Cody, and he's going to challenge him for that WWE Championship to relight the rivalry. I'm telling you it right now. That would be so sick. I need to do a list one day that's like top contenders to challenge Cody for the title in 2025. Great video, Dylan. Write that down. Nobody steal that. I'll fucking sue you. Seth starts off the match hot. During his entrance, he ends up diving over the first ring into the second ring where Finn is. During this match, it was the first time that I heard the crowd really chanting for CM Punk, so they know. Finn also takes that cage bump that I was talking about earlier and slides down it instead of bouncing off of it. So I guess that's the safe way for your back, so that way you don't take all the torque onto your tailbone and then it shoves it up into your spine. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm just a mark. Rollins gets dropped on his bad back onto the steel in the middle of the rings. It's like holding it together. And that gives Team Batty the advantage. First one to come out is JD. Wait. Time out. Like, not the whole group. Oh, God. This bit's back again. Now, wait a minute. He gets immediately kicked out of the ring. And then he hits Rollins with a kendo stick when he comes over to like try to pick him up. He brains him with it. He brings in more weapons, and I almost said the Judgment Day, but technically Finn and JD end up beating up Rollins with canes until Rollins grabs JD's stick. Pause. And he ends up taking them both out without using a weapon until JD does a second rope moonsault to give the baddies the advantage again. They beat down on Rollins for a bit until Jay comes to the rescue. They have canes in their hands, so Jay ends up grabbing a chair to equalize things. He runs a train on those guys until JD ends up planting him. Honestly, for the men's, JD is the MVP again. The McDonough, not the Judgment Day as a whole. They bring up how everybody could have issues with Jay due to like bloodline drama, including his teammates. So that's an interesting little note to add on to this story's drama. Drew tries to come into the ring, but Priest like blocks him and says that they had a plan and they're going to stick to the plan. They bicker for a little bit, and then Priest ends up going to the ring. He doesn't grab any single weapon to fight him with. He just goes in there. At first I wrote, come on, but there's a reason for it. Just give it time. He fights fairly for a bit until he gets beaten down. Then his teammates come to save him. When he does that, he pulls out a baton from his boot, like the kick pad sleeve, I guess, to beat up the goodies. He tells them to hold up Rollins and Jay. Then for some reason, out of nowhere, he does it's like a whisper in the wind. He goes through with the motion of that, but instead of it being where his back and then he lands on his front, it's just his front, and he does a flip in the air and then lands on him. All right, show off right now, but also why? There's no psychology to that. The baddies have the lead for a little bit until Cody and Sammy both look, and it's like, who wants to come out? Then Cody and Sammy both agree that Sammy should go to the ring. He then single-handedly takes out everybody because they go at him one-on-one instead of everybody tackling Sammy at once. And he gets them before he even enters the ring. He pulls out a table, and that gets a big-ass pop. Sammy ends up doing a stomp, so I don't know how else to describe it, but it looks like it starts out, just wrestling stomp, and because it's between the two rings, I forgot to mention that, but it's between the two rings. He grabs the left ring and the right ring ropes, holds himself up, and just starts kicking his feet into somebody's chest, and it literally looks like just like an upset child, like throwing a tantrum, being like, I want it, I want it, I want it. Sammy ends up giving JD McDonough a pipe hit from the top rope. I think he pulls it off of the steel cage, so that's cool. The crowd starts chanting like Olay towards Sammy, and for some reason, I don't know why, the Triple H era is so dope. I don't know why this took me by surprise. But when I heard Michael Cole mention El Generico by name, and then Corey Graves acknowledges it, but also goes in on the joke where he's like, I think it was literally like Michael Cole was like, hey, what happened to El Generico? But he says it so quietly, like nobody should have called that. And then Corey Graves says, I don't know, but I think he's retired or something to that extent. I was so shook when I heard that. I had to pause and get up for a second. I said, no way. Ain't no way they just mentioned my boy El Generico by name. All right. After the goodies beat down the baddies for a little bit, Drew comes in and just fucks everybody's shit up. The story is on how he wants to beat up Jay for everything that the Bloodline did to him. He wants to get his revenge on Jay. So Jay's in like a ring by himself. And after Drew takes out Team Goody, he goes to the ring that Jay's in and beats him up for a little bit after Jay gets like the advantage on him. Like babyface fights back. And then the heel just beats him down. He rams him into the cage wall multiple times for the actions that he's done. Ignore all the weapons that are laying around that you could literally cripple and maim the guy with. The heels gradually gain the advantage against Sammy and Jay, but then eventually Sammy and Jay like make a comeback and do a very shitty looking 1D. I'm sorry. I don't think Jay should be the lift up guy. I don't know if he originally was the lift up guy or not, but that was rough. After that, it's time for Team Goodies to get another guy. So Cody comes into the ring and he just clears house on all the heels. He pulls a bull rope out from the apron because apparently Team Goodies have like packed this ring with weapons beforehand. And he goes to hit him with it, but Rollins ends up yanking it back, pulling back to the fact that they had a bull rope match sometime in the past, in that 2022, I believe, year. They get in each other's faces, and Cody's like, you promised that we were on the same page, blah, 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 drama lines like that. Until they both grab it and use it as a clothesline for JD, and then they pull the bull rope up to hit Finn in his ballers. He, being Seth, then demands to know if Randy's coming or not, and Cody just doesn't answer him and goes on with the match. Dom then comes out to the crowd just booing him out of the building. He hits Cody's with 2 out of the 3 amigos, but when he goes to taunt and hit the third one, all the faces surround him and just give him a beatdown. They try to powerbomb Dom through a table that was set up, but JD, this time the group, ends up saving him from that. The crowd starts chanting for Randy, and then they start chanting for Punk because somehow, I guess, they thought Punk would be the 5th guy. The baddies end up taking out all the faces, ends up splashing them, holds them down. Priest even lifts up Rollins, and after they reposition the table, Seth ends up going right through it with the razor's edge. The counter goes off, and Randy's nowhere to be seen. But Rhea ends up running out with the referee, and she tries to cash in. She runs down with the money in the bank so that way Priest can cash in on Rollins since he's knocked out. That was the plan this whole time. I guess that was good enough timing for Orton to come out, so the cash-in wasn't official, which is weird. I never made the connection when it happened, but Priest ends up cashing in on Drew after Drew ends up helping Priest. That is a story on its own that could be told. Just want to give you free ideas, WWE. The crowd loses it for Randy Orton's return. I lost it when I originally watched this in 2023 when it happened. Randy Orton, I think I say it in a future video, but I'm going to say it right now. One of my childhood heroes because of... I was the guy who jumped on the We Hate Cena bandwagon of like 2011 through 13. So I was always an Orton guy. I always voted for the heels instead of the faces because most of the time they were justified. So it was good seeing him. Good seeing him come back. It brings a smile to my face anytime I can see Orton still. Because I know probably next year that there's going to be a day where Orton goes on a retirement tour like John Cena. Either that or he just says, hey, I'm retiring. This is it. and it's gonna hurt watching WWE without certain people that have been there for like 20 plus years. Like John Cena, I'm not even gonna lie to you. When he retires, when 2025, December 31st, 2025 hits, and there is no longer a John Cena in the WWE, that is gonna hit. Like emotionally, physically, mentally, however it can hit, that's gonna hit for me. Because I don't want to like hammer it home because it's not happened yet. But to me and people of my generation, that is like, I don't think he ever went on a retirement tour, but that would be like if The Rock retired for people of the Attitude Era. That's how it feels for me. And to be honest, it's just making me feel old too, so I don't like that part. Thanks, John. All right, Orton comes down to the ring, and the announcer says, "Let the War Games begin." Dom ends up taking the snap suplex comeback from Orton, and then Finn ends up taking the middle rope DDT until he stares down Drew. They had a past history together. They end up beating down each other, and then Priest ends up joining Drew to beat down Orton, until all of Judgment Day beats down on Orton until the faces come to save him. All the faces give the heels a middle rope DDT, and Orton sets up Priest for an RKO. Then as he's doing the hopefully that makes sense, the punch thing to the mat. As he's doing that, he turns mid-strike and looks at Jay. He almost strikes Jay. Then Jay realizes it. He's like, "Hey, what are you doing? We're on the same team, blah, blah, blah." Somebody comes towards Orton. I don't know if he was going for a clothesline or to do a move on Orton. And then Jay shoves Orton out of the way and super kicks Priest in the head. That's who it was. And Dom gets RKO'd. Everybody on the babyface on the babyface team ends up hitting their finishers on somebody until JD's the only one left. He realizes he's surrounded by all the faces and he tries to escape, but to no prevail. He ends up getting beaten down and thrown off the top, I don't remember, rope or the top of the cage, I think it was top rope, to take a super RKO. And Orton gives Priest to Cody as a sign of approval, and he hits Crossroads for the win. Everybody's celebrating, we're doing great, and the show goes off air. And this is where I normally would rank it, but Triple H does his best calling card. I am going to, if I ever do a pros and cons list of Triple H booking things, this is going on his list. Because at the very end of the show, as the credits roll and whatnot, you think it's going to go off air, and then you hear the and CM Punk ends up coming out. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. Some rookie, I don't know. But apparently he lives in Chicago. Never knew that. Never has been significant in his career. And nobody really cared, The whole crowd was just like, "Oh, cool. Local guy ends up showing up at the end. Why?" Okay, I'm going to stop this bit. CM Punk comes back and the whole place just blows the roof off. I end up popping because I think I'll say it in a future video, but I'll say it right now in case I haven't already said it. CM Punk's return to me is the part of my teenage year that I needed to come back. It satisfied that part of me that was like, damn, CM Punk's no longer with the WWE. That sucks. It's satisfied. It's a conclusion. You love to see people reunite, especially when you want the best for both people. In this case, you want the best for WWE and you want the best for Punk. And now they're reunited, a happy little family together, at least as far as the fan knows. It's cathartic, especially if this is his last run. He can retire at the place that, in my opinion, he should retire at, and there's never going to be a what if CM Punk returned to WWE instead of AEW, except with the asterisk of what if he returned instead of returning to AEW. But then there's this paradox where it's what if he never went to AEW to begin with, blah blah blah, you could fall down. I hate that it played out how it played out, but I'm glad that CM Punk has ultimately came back to WWE. He did his normal, take a knee, rub the ground for a second, and then scream out, "It's clobbering time," only the crowd ended up screaming out clobbering time, so I guess for him it's just it's. Then he ends up sitting He's standing, and God love him, but as the show's going off, all you see from CM Punk is literally you just hear like, "Aww." It's so out of context. It's so funny. That's the last thing you hear of the show as we fade to black. For me in this match, JD McDonough was honestly the MVP. Felt great to see Orton back. Felt great to see CM Punk back. Honestly, again, I know it's just the honeymoon phase, as they call it. But when this happened to me, I was already at the point where I was like, ooh, wrestling's starting to get hot again. I can feel something in the air. I need to tune in weekly or I'm going to be missing the fuck out on these stories. Especially with Triple H giving like hot ass stories. But then once Punk came back, knowing about the Triple H and Punk drama especially, I was like, damn, you could literally have anybody come back at any time at this point, and the true moniker of anything can happen in the world of wrestling entertainment has returned. That is wild. Alright, I'm done me riding them for a little bit. So just some highlights before I wrap things up. If you need some MVPs for this year, you could very much so argue that this was Rhea's year, but I think it was either Seth, Cody, her, or Jay's year. I need to do like MVP of 2024 or the best of 2024, 2023, and so on years. I think as far as PLEs are concerned, I'd rate this one like easily like A leaning on B. No, not even B. I meant the other way. A leaning on S tier because it is so historical. And even looking on it a year later, I feel everything again. It made me feel the same way as watching an event from 2002 makes me feel. Except, like, less cringe. Hey everyone, Editing Dylan here. So the main course of this video is over with. If you want just wrestling content, I have a little bit of that already uploaded. If you want to subscribe, I'd appreciate that. If you want to hear what's happening throughout the channel, just tune in for a little bit. But yeah, next video should be uploaded like Friday, and it should be WWE SmackDown episode 1 from like back in 1998 or whenever SmackDown started. If you're interested in that, coolio, thank you. Just tune in for a little bit, be patient with me. I got life outside of this, but I'm trying my best to stick to my word and give you all the content. Speaking of content, I'm gonna try to like fill in the gaps real quick and make a schedule, asterisk schedule. So just bear with me for a second. I'm gonna explain some things. So this video was supposed to be uploaded like last Saturday, and then Survivor Series 2024 was going to be that Sunday. Like I said, life got in my way, so I apologize on that. But this video will be uploaded like Thursday? Yeah, today's Thursday. So it's going to be uploaded Thursday. And then like I teased a little bit, there's a video uploaded tomorrow, but I'm going to try to make it as simple as possible. So I'm going to start from the beginning. So ready? So the last upload prior to like the Survivor Series 2024 predictions one was WWE Raw episode 2. That little series I created will be continued. I'm going to go through like the history of Raw and try to go all the way up into modern day. I know that's going to take me like 15 plus years, but again, emphasis on try. I'm going to do that until I either get bored of that or maybe, who knows, 15 years from now I'll actually be caught up. The only thing that was kind of like snagging me on that is that the Royal Rumble for 1993, I decided to do a live video on that since I got some feedback that people would have recommended the video to be in live. I kind of was experimenting with that. The live footage is fine. The only problem I ran into was that I need like video references from the actual Royal Rumble. So that part threw me off. It's still throwing me off. I'm running into some technical difficulties with that. I'm going to try my best to find that footage. Like I said, though, not much is available. So the Royal Rumble 1993 episode's holding back progress on everything. So on the Royal Rumble 1993, it's either going to go one of two ways. Either it'll be uploaded like this Sunday or next Sunday, or it's just going to be forgot about for a little bit until I can find that footage, and we're just going to pretend it exists until I can upload it. Going into the future, when I have like old school episodes and then there's a pay-per-view in the way, like after the Rumble, there's WrestleMania 9. When we get to WrestleMania 9, I will just do a talking one like this instead of using live footage. Because again, the me part's not bad. I mean, it's cringy because it's me, but it's not the issue. The issue is trying to find this footage, and until I can figure out how to find the footage, we're just not going to do that. We're just going to ditch that idea. We'll come back to it in the future, but for now, that idea's ditched. Prior to the Raw reviews, I was uploading weekly reviews of SmackDown and Raw the nights that they happened, unless I forgot to, and the previous week's episodes on Monday and Friday respectively. As of right this moment of time, I can't do that. I had to cancel cable. You know, times are rough in the modern economy, but that's my issue, not your issue. The only thing you have to know is that I can't do that as of right now. More on that later. So now that I've covered kind of the basics, let me give you a little schedule rundown real quick. So on Mondays, like I kind of hinted at, I'm going to do old school Raws. Next Sunday, I'll try to upload the Royal Rumble 1993, either this Sunday or the following Sunday. And if I can't get it up in 2 weeks' time, I'm just going to continue with Raw, starting with Raw Episode 3, either next Monday or this coming up Monday. And then we're just going to pretend that Royal Rumble footage is up. It'll be uploaded whenever I get finished with it, and then we'll just go on. So then we'll keep on going through Raws, and then do the WrestleMania, and then go from there. For any of the pay-per-views that happens, they're going to be uploaded on Sundays, considering that was traditionally when pay-per-views were until 2023, I think. So I'll just do that for old pay-per-views. Tuesdays, I'm going to do, I think I call them a little podcast, but essentially it's me doing reviews that I have on my phone already. For whatever reasons, I just haven't made time to actually upload these reviews. So for the next 4 weeks, I'm going to be doing that every Tuesday, just uploading one of these old reviews. And starting in January, whenever Raw goes over to Netflix, as long as Netflix allows the content to be viewed within 24 hours, I'm going to post the Raws every Tuesday that I can. I'm going to be posting the Raw reviews on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, I really don't have anything planned per se, but I do have the gaming videos that were on this channel. I decided to re-upload them to their own channel called DNA Wrestling Gaming, if that interests you. Right now I'm just rehashing the old episodes that were up here, and then as soon as I finish rehashing those episodes, I'm going to start recording live, like new footage to throw up over there. So if that's something that you like, then go over there and watch it. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think I have anything planned Thursdays, but again, if plans change, I'll keep you all updated. But on Fridays, starting with this Friday, I'm going to upload old episodes of SmackDown. That's right, we're going to begin with SmackDown Episode 1. I think it's, like I said, I think it was made in like 1998. It's not the actual Episode 1. It's the one that's the pilot, I think. Either that or we're going to start with the actual Episode 1, then do the pilot. I don't remember, but yeah, it's going to be out of time for like the first 3 episodes. I'll explain it on the actual reviews. But yeah, tomorrow starts the first episode of SmackDown. Either that, or if I don't upload it tomorrow, expect it next Friday. Now, Saturdays are the big days because PLEs like this for 2024, I'm going to try to upload them all throughout the Saturdays until I get caught up. I figured since this one was the last that at least I know of, I could have to like course correct on that. But this was the last PLE for 2023, and SummerSlam was last like Saturday. I figured it would have been topical to upload last Saturday. It's still semi-topical even if I'm late, so I'm not worried about that. Survivor Series 2024 will be uploaded either Sunday or soon. So, my idea from here on out is to pick every Saturday, unless there's a gimmick pay-per-view coming up, and I'm going to pick those Saturdays to tackle each one of 2024's events. So, it could be in order. Like, next time I do this, it could be the PLE for the Rumble, and then we go to Elimination Chamber, then to Backlash, France, and so on and such for the things I missed. Or I could just pick random ones. Like, my next one could be Bad Blood. We never know. I really don't know what I'm picking next. With that being said, I'm going to already contradict this the new schedule by saying that this Saturday would be a random PLE, so it could be like the Rumble, Elimination Chamber, or it could just be Bash in Berlin, or it could be Money in the Bank. You know, any of the ones that I've missed. You can see, if you'd like, there's a playlist for all the PLEs for 2024 that I've done. This Saturday and next Saturday, I'm going to do that. So 3 Saturdays from now, I'm going to upload the last ever Saturday Night's Main Event, since that day will be Saturday Night Main Event for 2024. And that one will be uploaded Sunday, because fast forward to Sunday. Sunday, my plan is to upload any current PLEs the next day after, unless we start having technical difficulties with that. That's my plan from now until I have to change it. If I have to change it, I'll update you all. Thanks for listening to the schedule. I appreciate that. So just to keep you updated, tomorrow being Friday, first episode of WWE SmackDown that aired in like 98, whatever. And then Saturday, we're going to have a random PLE from 2024 that I haven't already reviewed. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to do the Rumble until January for topical sense, but we'll figure something out. And then Sunday, we'll have my review for Survivor Series 2024 finally uploaded. I'll see you all then. All right.